I'm Aurelia and welcome to another painting tutorial. This is Starfall Symphony Intermediate. Now, of course, we are going to be using an 8x8 canvas panel. This project took me approximately 30 minutes to complete in real time. If you've watched the beginner version of this video, this is the next step. Now, for an intermediate, we're going to go for much higher quality products. I like to use, personally, Grumbacher Academy Acrylics. These are in small and large containers in any craft store. You can use whatever you like, but this is just a personal preference for me. So to begin, we need, of course, a paper towel and a paint palette or paper plate, and a large cup of water, filled 1/3 with water. We're going to be using one large flat brush, one medium flat brush, one medium round brush, and of course one small round brush for details. Our paint of choice is going to be titanium white, Mars black, Phthalo blue, light blue, and Theo Violet in the Grumbacher series. Now, acrylic painting dries relatively fast. If you need, this is a Liquitex Slow-Dri blending medium. You can add this to your paint. It will greatly extend the time in which it takes to blend your pieces together without having it dry on you. This is a 4 fluid ounce US bottle. This is what it looks like when you find it in the store. And it can be very helpful if need be. It is a fluid medium. Remember, slow, dry blending medium. Now, of course, we're going to get right into this painting. Dip your large flat brush into the light blue or purple. It really doesn't matter at this point. Make your choice. Just paint the canvas. Really big brush strokes back and forth. I'm actually starting with the light blue so that I can put white in the middle and blend my way up very, very softly on each side just to try and make it look good. Now remember, you need big, long brush strokes and, of course, a lot of paint. A lot of people don't use a lot of paint, or they use too much paint. It's hard to find the in-between. Give yourself a nice, big space to work with. I gave myself quite a bit of blue before I go into the Phthalo Blue, and I'm just dabbing on the sides and brushing from one side across very carefully. This is to create streaks, and it's not entirely necessary. If you would prefer more of a gradient, all you need to do is just keep moving your brush back and forth, back and forth. The more you move your brush, the more it will blend. So if you want those streaks to stay, don't overdo it. Just brush, 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 brush like I am with this purple, and leave it when you think it's in a good spot. And you can, of course, add more layers as you go. Everybody's different. This is all about personal preference, what looks good to you. But as I work my way up my canvas, I'm going to add more of that darker blue, and it's going to keep getting darker and darker until I need that black. So make sure and use enough paint to get it all over there. See how shiny it is? You can tell that it is still wet. In this piece, I decided to actually go ahead and cover and do my sides right away, then add the black on top. Now, sometimes you can add the black and it doesn't seem like enough, and sometimes it seems like too much. You can blend your piece. You can blend your paint on the side, on your palette or your plate if it's just not what you think it needs to be, and that's completely fine. Although by this next step, we are going to take our medium round brush, and while it's wet, I'm going to test the waters here. I'm going to dab that mixture of black and blue onto the painting. It doesn't matter where you start. This is kind of one of those, do what you feel like. So just take any color, just dab it on there. This is going to be the beginning of our cloud or nebula looking face, however you prefer that to look. I prefer to call them clouds. They seem more like clouds to me. But the more I'm dabbing here, the more I'm noticing it's becoming a problem. It's not mixing, it's just pulling the paint up. So at this point, we're going to do a dry break. And look at all the paint on my hands. This is why you should never wear important clothing or have your hair down, ladies. Always tie it up because you will get paint all over you. I have been painting for, I don't even know, over 10 years, and I am still a mess. After the dry break, I come back and start with my blue and merge down into the bottom in the lightest pieces of my painting. So if you're not brave enough to do this, it's perfectly okay. You can dip your brush in water, not a lot of water, just a little bit, and keep going, and it can pull some of that up for you. But I am going over all of the sides here. Remember, we did all those nice, beautiful streaks, but I want these clouds to really cover a lot of this painting. But just to make sure that it's different types, we're going to get into each color. So now we're adding purple, add the blues, add the light blues. You're going to want a variation of color and just keep dabbing. Dab, 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 dab your heart away. I'll be continuing with this process multiple times, but we're going to eventually need to get some courage. So here we go with the white. There is still purple on my brush, so it tends to blend really well the more I dab. So if you're dabbing and you're dabbing and you think, oh, this looks terrible, just keep dabbing. It will continue to look good. Keep adding more paint. Remember, it is a paint piece, not a tattoo piece. We can always let it dry and paint over it some more. It's perfectly fine. Getting a little brave, I add a lot more white just to try to get those extra details in the clouds, deciding that I want that light source on the left side, but also I'm just going with what my heart tells me. I'm not even paying attention. This was not a planned piece. I just jumped right into this piece, and this is where we're going with it. Getting closer, you can see the details. This is what it looks like when you continuously dab. It will blend into your piece. If your brush is clean and you're dabbing, you know, you wash your brush out with the water, dry it off, and dab in those wet places, you can pull up more paint and it'll just move differently. Remember, you're using an actual physical mushy thing that you're moving around a canvas. There are many different ways to use it. Considering my piece is really, really dark, I decided to, of course, add more purple, add more white, add more blue. Trust me, by the time I'm done with this, you're not gonna recognize all the dabs. You'll be like, how did this just magically end up here? Keep dabbing. Keep dabbing. I think the majority of this painting is spent dabbing these clouds. This is the hardest part. And of course, I decided to take that mixture of black and blue, that phthalo blue, the dark blue, and I put it on my round brush. See, I'm still dabbing, fixing some spots, covering it up with the darker bits if I don't like it, but I'm also brushing these wind-swept pieces. So I swept from the top right to the bottom left, and now I'm swiping from the top left to the bottom right, from the sides. Not going too far into my light source there. We want those light, beautiful bits that we did before, but this is just another layer of clouds. Something to make it not just straight up dabs. This is a much further compilation. What makes this piece different from the beginner's piece is the fact that we're doing more layers. This is a very cheap brush, and of course the cheap brushes don't last. So if you bought cheap brushes, just know they are going to fringe and do this. The nicer brushes don't do so as quickly, but you still need to find a brush conditioner and take care of your brushes very, very well. Sometimes I like to experiment. I'm going to add some light up here in the corner, but clearly I didn't like it. It just seemed to pull away from the light at the bottom of the painting, so I went back and darkened it. Again, it's paint, not a tattoo. Mixing some color on my palette there. I'm doing this purple, light purple, so I'm mixing the purple with the light blue and maybe a tad of white so that it is a medium purple and not as dark as that Theo purple straight out of the tube. And of course, we're getting braver and braver, adding much more white into our piece, but it is also drying as we're working on it. Keep that in mind. Again, the acrylic, you have to work very fast. Now we're going to take a big scoop of white and add it over onto the side of our palette. And we're going to dip our brush in water just a little bit. You can see the blue in the water, and I'm mixing it together. It is okay that it is dirty water, just don't use a lot, just a little bit. We're trying to water down this white so that we can do this next messy piece. Be prepared. We're going to flick our brush onto the canvas, and it is going to make a mess, and your finger is going to be full of paint. So flick, flick, flick away. These are my droplets, my extra stars, my little bit of fancy random splatters. And it does splat. A lot of times it's really hard not to get those streaks, so don't be upset if it does that. You can, of course, wait for it to dry, go back over it, and paint it again if you don't like it. It is completely okay. And if you don't like this process at all, you don't need to do it. This is kind of just my extra step that I like. But of course, by then, you need to wash your hands. Now I go back in with a clean medium round brush, and I kind of dab into some of those really streaky spots, either making the stars more pronounced or using it as a cover for clouds. Now I went in and of course mixed the light blue, the purple, and the white together to kind of get this really light purple, and we're going to streak across with the medium flat brush. If you hold it flat, it will just create a tiny line, and that's exactly what we want. Now it's not going to be perfect. Even I have a really big mess over on that long streak, as you can see, but it's okay. Just because it's big and loud on that painting doesn't mean that my painting is ruined. At this point, I'm just going through and testing everything out. So in this case, I didn't like that really big streak on that upper right star, so I made it bigger. Happy accidents. Now I'm coming through with the white to kind of make the bottom of those stars really, really bright. Now, for this idea, it's like the stars are coming through the atmosphere, right? They're burning. So I come in with different colors, but for the most part, all of the bottom areas are going to be white. Now, you can take your small round brush and go in with your details. These are extra little dabs of stars. I like to do this manually for the final bits of my painting because sometimes the splatter doesn't get in all the places I want it to be. So I go in with extra. Again, this is a better step if you don't want to do the messy bits at all. And of course, you get to have a nice close-up here of the whole piece. You can see all of my brush strokes, mistakes, everything. It really looks like a hot mess really close. So take your painting, put it across the room and look at it. Tell me what you think. It will likely look very awesome. And of course, take that small round brush and sign your piece on the front with paint if you like. If you would not like to, you can also wait for it to dry, take a Sharpie and sign the back. It's totally okay. Whatever you want, this is your painting. We are done. Hopefully you did the beginning piece and the intermediate piece. So I'm going to put them side by side here in just a second and let you take a look. Of course, the video is available if you have not seen the beginner's tutorial, but either way, I appreciate it if you did or didn't. Hope it works for you. And yeah, leave me comments. Tell me what you would like to see me paint. Granted, keep in mind I only do landscapes in painting. All right, here is that final product. It looks beautiful in all its glory. Don't forget to leave a like on this video and subscribe if you would like notifications on new videos. And of course, share with me on social media. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!